Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Nick Perro on Sick of This Shit Publications, joined by my good friend Sharad Swaney of Centered America. And we're back for the second discussion today on intelligent masculinity. We are cross platforming on Banner and Backbone and Centered America as well. I think I might try and just start doing this for all the shows coming up for the intelligent masculinity so a larger audience can get notified. Um, Thank you for offering to cross host this with us
Yeah,
on Centered America too. It's good to see you, Sherrod. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing very well. I have a little cold, but I'm doing all right. Just woke up a little sick, but I'm really happy that we're doing this because it gives us a real breather, a moment to kind of refresh and relax with all the crazy stuff that's happened this week. Yeah,
Yeah, and for those who've seen me quite a bit today, this is my third show of the day today on January 8th. Yeah, it wasn't really a long rest, but I had time to eat a muffin and grab a quick drink and say hi to my son who's homesick today. So it was good. I needed that quick little break. I recentered myself for our discussion. It's been a very energizing day for me because I've had some really good discussions, although it's also a very emotionally heavy day today after
yeah.
yesterday, after the murder of Renee Nicole Good by the ICE agents. And this discussion is not going to be about that. If I've had a couple other discussions today around that topic and the impacts it has on all of us, though maybe I haven't actually formally asked you on your thoughts yet. Maybe we'll open the discussion before we get into our intelligent masculinity side. But this is part of intelligent masculinity is learning how to discuss and talk and express our emotions and our thoughts clearly and using our words rather than our fists or a gun, because that's the weak way. That's a coward's way out, um, rather than fighting for your ideals with words. So, sure. Do you have anything to say around the events of yesterday before we jump into our discussion and get onto a slightly different topic?
Well, as soon as I heard about it and saw the video, my heart broke. I mean, I was truly heartbroken. Watching the video and watching Renee Good's wife grieving and her running up to the car, it does something to you, and it's something that we shouldn't have to be watching. And with technology right now, it's like everything is shared. You see it that quick, but it's good that we're able to document this, that we have
Yeah.
this tangible proof, all this tangible proof that we are documenting this, that new media like Nick, what you're doing, what I'm doing, what all of you and the chat are doing here on Substack, like being able to share this and go, this is what's going on. They are lying to you. So it's heartbreaking, but it comes with a silver lining. Renee Good was a courageous hero, and we shouldn't forget her.
Yeah. And we should be actively preventing this from ever happening again. And so Sherrod and I, before the show, we're talking about some stuff around legislative ideas and how we can actually do actionable impact across the country. Um, and so you'll be hearing more about all of that as we start talking more in the backgrounds. And we're going to be doing this on. I've invited Walter Ryan and Dr. Eric Lulov, and or Evan Fields already comes to the window of discussion with us, but I've invited them to join us for a couple at
Awesome.
least so we can talk about some of the like legislative ideas and how we can actively prevent ICE from being and law enforcement like this from being masked so we know who these individuals are, so and
Yep.
requiring maybe even them to wear body cams, things that demand accountability. Um, and that's something that is a big piece of intelligent masculinity is accountability. And so welcome everyone, welcome all friends, everyone who's coming in on Substack, on Twitch, on YouTube. Thank you all for being here with us today. We are going to be talking intelligent masculinity with Sharad Swaney, who's one of the co-directors at Centered America, is a friend of mine, and is someone who exemplifies as a young man what it means, in my eyes, to be intelligently masculine, and what it means to be part of the scholar warrior mentality of someone who fights with their words and demands respect not through violence or domination, but through empathy and value, and through action and words. So I think Sherrod is another great example of being um, being part of this community and helping us all grow. And so we're going to have a nice discussion, however long it takes. We'll be here for at least an hour, maybe even longer. Who knows? We're just going to go through the questions. I'm going to give Sherrod time to just explore his answers, and we'll go through them. I'll add some anecdotes myself here and there, but this is more about Sherrod's journey. And like I told Shane Yurick this morning, this conversation is going to be part of a larger dialogue that I'm putting together on the series of intelligent masculinity, where I'm going to profile each of the folks that I interview, and release a series afterwards around the full discussion and our themes across the way, how we differ, how we're similar, and you're going to see some incredible faces along the way while we do this. So, Sherrod, thanks for being on with me. I know we were supposed to talk Tuesday, but you had a day,
Yeah.
and it's okay to reschedule things. It's okay to give each other space so that we can manage our personal lives and be healthy ourselves. Like Sherrod, I texted him and he got back to me and he was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry." It's like, you don't ever have to apologize, dude. Like we got
I always
we've
feel
got things.
terrible though.
No, I know. I totally get it. And I appreciate it. Oh yeah, we'll have to get Rick Wilson on too. That would be really cool. I've never met Rick. But I know Evan Fields in our chat, good friend of mine now too, Army vet. He's going to be on for one of these discussions too. And he respects and looks up to Rick a lot. And I'd love to be able to have that discussion at some point. So yeah, Evan, let's talk about figuring out how we can do that. And so, but we're going to focus on Sherrod here now. And so I'm going to go through its 5 independent questions. The first 4 are more serious questions. And then the 5th one is a 3-part question around the song Be a Man from Mulan. And no, I have not gotten any audio clips yet. It's been a very busy day. I'm going to try and get some audio clips though, so that before I ask those final questions in upcoming shows, the song will play a little bit and we won't get copyright violations because I'll keep it short enough. But we're going to go through some great questions. I had a really good discussion with Shane Yurick this morning. I'm really excited for this discussion with you, Sherrod, because it's going to be awesome. All of our conversations have been. I see this is just going to be fun, and I'm excited to learn more about you and explore how you've gotten to this point in your life. So let's get into it. And so again, this is intelligent masculinity and the scholar warrior mentalities is how we're framing all of this discussion. And so my first question is, who has been the most influential male figure in your life and why?
Honestly, the most influential male role model in my life is probably Elliott Smith. If you don't know who he is, he's a singer-songwriter. I think he's one of the best guitar players of all time. He was born in Portland, and I resonated a lot with him because as a kid, I had to move around a lot. And I remember moving at 13 years old to the really red state of Missouri, and it was such a developmental age for me, and I was really finding out who I was, and it was just me and my 3 siblings and my mom, who's a single mother, and we moved in 2020 during COVID, so it was just a crazy year. My mom had just become a single mother, and I was finding myself at that age, and I never really looked up to a lot of male figures. And then I started listening to Elliott Smith and his music, and I started reading about him and his life and who he was. And Elliott does something that I feel like a lot of musicians don't do, and he puts his heart on his sleeve in his music in a way that is different. And if you listen to his music, you can really tell, but you can't really hear it from anyone else. And he puts his feelings into his melodies, and that taught me a lot. Finding Elliot at a young age really helped me understand that opening your emotions as a man is especially powerful, and it doesn't hinder who you are. It makes you more strong. It makes you stronger.
I love that. And so that's different than my answer, which is amazing because mine is my dad. And so, but I won't go into that discussion right now. Is what about Elliot? Other than like you talked about him writing his emotions on his sleeve, and I studied music composition and wrote music when I was in college, and I've studied music a lot, and I really enjoy the theory behind it and understanding the power of music. And I know you're a singer songwriter yourself too. Um, can you talk about how maybe that did that influence your decision to become creative or allow yourself to express your creativity in the way you are without feeling any like emotional burden or how did this experience shape your desires going forward um, to be to shape your desires or your view of masculinity?
Yeah, so my parents were in a band when I was very young. When I was born, they were in a band, and they played music, and that made me very creative. But I felt like I was always it was always my father kind of deciding things for me, and I think a lot of people share that experience, where it's like you need to listen to this music and you need to get into this, and that's a normal parent role, but it felt like I was kind of forced into this one box where I couldn't escape. And as my mom became a single mother, and I started realizing what music I liked, what things I wanted to listen to, and what Elliott Smith does is he takes bass notes, he takes borrowed chords. Which are chords outside of the key, and it just really cuts deep. And he's playing all on one guitar. It's very independent. He's constantly just like it's very raw and lo-fi, um, and it helps with my view of masculinity because I feel empowered to just be myself. I don't have to fit in some sort of box. I can be outside of the box. I can be creative. I can think differently. I don't have to stay in one place. It doesn't have to be forced upon me. And I think it also helps me in the political world because that's something within politics and political views where you don't want to be the victim of a propaganda machine. You want to be outside of the box. You want to fight back, and so I think that's really shaped my role when it comes to masculinity.
I love that. I like the what you just said about feeling empowered to just be yourself. And can you talk a little bit, if you're okay with this? Can you talk a little bit about the experience of maybe losing a parent during because your parents separated
Yeah.
um, when you were younger? Did you lose a parent during that? Did your father or it sounds like obviously your mom did not leave your life,
No.
but did your dad leave your life? And what effect did that have on you into say leaning into other men to find example from?
I think well my father metaphorically left my life,
Oh, okay.
and what I mean by that is he's an addict. Um, and my father's a very smart man. He's creative. He was a guitar player. He had so much potential. And my mom used to say, "Don't fall in love with potential. Um, Fall in love with what's there." And when she was leaving my dad, it was hard to believe because I was my dad's number one supporter. At a young age, I was like, I need to stand up for my dad, and because he was my male role model. I looked up to my dad. He was creative and funny and smart, and losing him was something that hurt. Like I don't know how to explain it other than it was just a complete flip around in my life, and I had to figure out how to be my own father. I had to figure out. And, it was such a developmental age that I was getting into like late middle school, high school, where things really start to change. and you start to figure yourself out. And I didn't have a dad to do
Mm.
that. You know, he was in and out of jail and in and out of prison, um, and he doesn't fit the stereotype of like, an addict, street addict. He's well kept together and he's a functional addict, and but and I ended up having to be my own father. And so it's like clinging onto male role models. It was more like finding myself, finding the male role model in myself, who that is. And that was difficult, because, I didn't have anyone to lean on. And I had my
Yeah.
mother. Um, and I think that helped me figure out that masculinity doesn't have to be this thing where you hide your emotions. You can really get help, and you can figure yourself out, and you can cling on to other people, especially women. For me, like, my mother is such a wonderful role model in my life, and she fit that very well. She taught me what a strong worker is. When I was a kid, I did not think, I was oblivious to the fact that my mom was working. My dad stayed home, my mom was working, so I was like, oh, my mom, we don't have a good relationship. She was the one paying the bills. She was the one making sure the house it was clean. She was the one that was making sure that she was working night shift, 12 hours a day, in the NICU, in the neonatal intensive care unit. And like, I didn't realize that until I grew older, that my mom was the one working hard, and I thought that was
Hmm.
my dad because he was there all the time.
That leads into my next, I guess, segment of that question, because your answer also fits along with how what I saw in my answer, and with Shane's answer, is it's not only a male role model that we need in our life and a male leader for ourselves to, or someone we look up to. It's just as important, if not more important, for us to have a female role model who we look up to, especially as men, because mine is my mom. Just like yours, is because she was an incredibly powerful and is an incredibly powerful woman, and speaks her mind and tells it like it is, and has helped my father grow too. Like, having the ability to have at least one caregiver who shows you those skills and lets you blossom under those is really important. And I'm glad your mom was there for you and that you saw everything
Yeah.
that she was doing, at the end. By the end, at least, is you saw what she was doing. You picked up on how hard she was working, and you learned from it, even if you didn't know you were learning from it.
And I think my mom fit a role where she helped me find a role model in myself. And I think that it's a little different from a lot of people's upbringing, but she was able to fit a role where I could find myself, and she wanted that for me. She wanted me to have the freedom to choose what path I went down, and learn and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and learn how to learn from those mistakes. And it really taught me a lot.
And so, Sharad, before we go any further, how old are you, my friend? For everyone in
I'm,
the audience,
I am 19 years of age.
this man who is younger than a couple of my nieces, is doing and has built a character around himself, a model for himself to go off, that took me 30 something years to do. Like, bravo, brother, for being a part of this so early in your life.
That's such
Um,
a large heap of praise coming from you, Nick. I really look up to you, and it's really kind.
Thanks. I mean, you exemplify it. Like, I'm inviting people that I know exemplify these ideals. And we've got people like Evan in the chat is saying, "Get the fuck out of here." That's what I'm talking about. You're to be admired for what you're doing, Sharad. Like, you're 19 fucking years old. You could be going to parties at college and getting drunk and doing all the college things. Instead, you're out here putting yourself on the line every single day and putting out incredibly important and meaningful content. And you're being a role model yourself. Like, I look up to some of the things that you are doing too. You're almost half my age, but that doesn't matter.
Makes me want
Like
to cry, man.
that doesn't matter. Like I'm gonna give you a fist bump through the computer because shit, man, you're on point. Like it's really amazing
Thank
what
you.
you've been able to do with your life so far, and be able to understand and reevaluate yourself in a lot of ways. And that's going to be one of my later questions on it for you is our
Wow.
self-reflect and self-evaluate. But it's to this first question opened up such a interesting part of your life that I didn't know about before this. And it's really amazing to see how well you took that experience. And so how long has it been since you've what age were you when, say, your dad left, and how long did it take for you, or left your life, um, and how long did it take for you in that process to start seeing the impacts that your mom or yourself was having on growth?
That's hard hitting. I think I was I was probably 12, 12 or 13. Um, when my dad left my life, and I was talking to my mom about this a while ago. But my mom she was involved in many like addicts of spouses of addicts groups, and she was learning how to go to therapy and how to fix this relationship and take control of her own life. And I remember, as I said, I was such a big supporter of my dad. I wanted to defend him always. I remember the biggest thing that made me realize that things were changing were my family was going on a family trip. We were going on a family trip, and my mom, because my father was lying to her repeatedly, decided to not invite my dad to go. And I flipped out. I was like 11 or 12, and I was freaking out. And I was like, "You need to let him go." And I was like, "I'm not going if I'm not going if you don't let him go." Um, and she looked at me and she said, "Okay, you don't have to go." And that clicked for me and made me realize that my mom wasn't fucking around.
Hmm.
She meant she wanted to leave that life, and she needed to leave that life. And I feel like I realized it then, and it started that transition of becoming my mom's biggest supporter, realizing the abuse that my mom went through, and so at that transition through the developmental stages, finding myself through music and creativity, finding my passions and hobbies for myself. um, I started to I got into therapy.
Hmm.
I promote therapy for literally everyone. It takes a while to find the therapist that's right for you. It took me a long time.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of people feel scared of therapy because it feels like a clinical setting where you feel like, oh, I'm crazy. It's not like that. You want someone that you mesh with, that you connect with. Having someone that's a third party on the outside that can really give you insight on how to manage the natural human parts of you in the most healthiest way possible, it helps. And so
Hmm.
it took me a while to find it, but my transition through therapy, I've been in therapy for 4 years, and like I started really seeing a noticeable change a junior year of high school.
Good
Um,
for you, man.
yeah,
Good for you. Like that, it takes a lot, especially as a kid, to go to therapy and accept that you need help, or accept that they're going to teach you something, or like you even said, finding a therapist who works for you, um, finding a compatible therapist, or even finding a group therapy. Like,
yeah,
I'm a huge advocate for group therapies. I was afraid to go to one. I went to one for 2.5 years. I went through emotional distress tolerance 3 different times with the VA because it was a group therapy session, and I found people who I could connect with on a therapeutic level. And we never, we always respected each other because we were all there for the same reason. We all wanted and needed help, and we all wanted and needed to find a way to make ourselves feel better about ourselves. And it's scary. but it helps. And part of being an intelligent human in general, for better humaning, but in this setting, an intelligent man specifically, is accepting that therapy is okay, and that asking for help is not weakness, it is strength. Asking for help when you need it is a sign of strength. And so that sort of leads me into my second question for you is, what is your definition, or what does intelligent masculinity mean to you?
Um, Intelligent masculinity to me is the knowledge, and not just the knowledge, but utilizing the knowledge that this idea that's been embedded in all of us of what masculinity should be is not true. I think intelligent masculinity is knowing how your emotions influence your behaviors. I think identifying, like I said before, the human parts of yourself, like envy or obsessions or compulsions or anger, and then being able to manage them in healthy ways whilst balancing accountability rather than suppressing your emotions. I think that is what intelligent masculinity is. That's what I'd say my definition is. It's managing all of that and being able to do it while also making mistakes and not being so hard on yourself while learning.
Yeah. And so I want to dig into that, is the emotional understanding and what that means to you, because we all have our own views on what emotions are, how they affect us. Um, but and I want to maybe share some stories between each other on this, on how we've evolved on what emotional understanding means. Um, is how What brought you to the point where you realized that you needed to understand, accept, and learn from your own emotions? And what does that really mean to you, in terms of what does it mean to to be emotionally understanding? As my dog bell goes off.
Um, you know, I think because of my parents' relationship, they were very codependent. And it was like they made it like this magical thing. I had this idea of love and relationships that was so skewed. Um, and and going into creating my own relationships with like girlfriends, right? It would end up being just this obsession instead of actual love and care. And I realized that about myself. Of course, I was really young. It was like early high school. Um, but I realized like I need to understand obsessions and compulsions. And I think that I do have a lot of obsessive compulsive traits. I mean, I see it a lot in the way I work. Like
Mhm.
I want to find solutions for everything, and I have to think about this and get it done. And I think it was a lot in the way with relationships, where it was like I need this person to live, and that's how my parents' relationship was. They needed each other to breathe and have oxygen, and that's not a healthy relationship. Um, and I think that helped me figure out how my emotions or how my obsessions and compulsions really work. And I know you and Shane talked about anxiety and stuff like that, and bipolar, and he did a little talk about that. But I think like everyone has those human traits,
Yeah.
and it's just managing them effectively that creates intelligent masculinity.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree. Is the management of it, and I like what you said about the codependency piece, um, and how you talked about it. About, I need this other person to live, and I use a phrase of, and this is something my wife and I found over years of marriage. We're coming up on 11 years of marriage now. We are really happy and not codependent on each other in many areas. We are codependent in some areas because
And that's
we
okay.
chose to be. We chose to be in those areas. However, we're not in others. And I want to get your thoughts on a phrase that I like to use with my wife, and that I surprised my therapist with this one, was we like to add to each other's happiness rather than make each other happy. When we talk about, like, when we express joy and stuff towards each other, it's not, oh, you just made me really happy. It's like, oh, you added to my happiness with that effect,
Yeah.
or with that thing that you did. What do you think on that, and how the framing of that as an emotional understanding for breaking the codependency cycle?
I love that. I love that, and I think like relationships, they have to be an addition to your life, and it's something that adds to your life. And my mom used to say, "Don't set yourself on fire to keep people warm," you know. And so that's how I can kind of relate to what you said. It's very similar with is like you need to look out for yourself as well, and that's what a lot of people feel like they shouldn't look out for themselves and they feel selfish when doing that, and it's like you have to, of course there's a balance, but look
Hmm.
out for yourself. Like you need to have your space, you need to have your time, you need to be able to function and add to someone's life, not try and make them happy, and vice versa. So I really like that. Yeah.
Awesome. You're getting so much good feedback in the chat, by the way. Like, everyone loves hearing about the growth that you've made and how young you are and how impressive it is. Because
So
it
so
should
really
the hard part for me, like, is this should be normal. Like, what Sharad is doing and what I've done and what so many other men are doing should be the norm. Like, we shouldn't have to celebrate how emotionally intelligent we are and what intelligent masculinity is. But since nobody is explaining it to anybody and nobody is telling other men how to do it, we need to showcase these examples and highlight the growth that a young man who is 19 years old, who started at 12 in all of this, has done more growth as a child leading into his adult years than most men will make in their entire lives. Like, Sherrod, you should feel so much pride for yourself and joy at what you've done so far in your life, because you're willing to learn, you're willing to ask questions, and you're willing to model this type of masculinity for yourself. And that leads into the third question, which is, how do you model intelligent masculinity in your own life?
honestly, with friends, and you talked about this a little bit before, but it's so hard at my age with other guys, with other men. You know, I don't have a lot of male friends. I have a very tiny amount because it's just so difficult to connect. And a lot of my age, a lot of men my age feel like they have to talk about certain things like girls or sex or like we have to get drunk in order to form a connection, and that's not how I am, like, at
Mhm.
all.
Yeah.
I model intelligent masculinity in my life by you know, I'm hanging out with a friend right now. I'm a male friend right now, and we're house sitting, and and he's in that frat life, college life, and I
Hmm.
think you know, I model that by like breaking that mask that so many men feel pressured to put on, and I think a lot of men, especially people my age, in this age of technology, feel like they can't be themselves because it's this like mutually agreed upon thing that you know, just to not be emotional and hide away your heart by covering it up with like, you know, so many jackets or something. And you know, the jackets being we have to talk about this subject and that all guys talk about to hang out. And you know, I kind of do my best to reassure new people that I meet that that's just not true. That we can breathe a little bit. That you know, we don't have to be assholes to connect, and it's much more fun to connect when you're being yourself rather than being a dick. You know?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is much more fun to connect when you are yourself, because people will see the joy and will see the love. And if they don't find who you are as a person, as an individual, as worth being around, then you drop them from your life.
Ooh, that's
Have to.
exactly, yeah.
You don't have to hold on to negativity just because they're around. And you said, to me, it sounds is hold friends accountable and have
Oh yeah.
friends help you hold yourself accountable so that you can model intelligent masculinity with each other. Um, can you talk about some times when you've actually lost friendships through, or possibly lost a friendship because you held tried to hold someone accountable for bad behavior, or inappropriate behavior?
Yeah, actually. Uh, I think most of us have this experience. But there's a friend. Uh, he did he I'm always the type of person where I'm very like upfront. Like I don't like talking about this, or I don't like when this makes me feel this way, and it takes people back. But he did something inappropriate, and I called him out on it. I want to say what the inappropriate thing was, but it's just it
Yeah,
was
you don't have to out exactly what it was.
uh,
It sounds like something that
yeah,
a young man would have done that's highly
yeah.
inappropriate.
Oh, 100%. And it was all happening at my grandmother just passed away, and I had heard about it, and I was like, dude, like no, like no. And he always tried to appear normal about it, and I just ended up you know dropping that friendship. I think like for me, if you have a friend that doesn't fully value your space, doesn't value your boundaries, and doesn't value who you are and your emotions as a human being, you don't need them in your life. They don't add value. And it goes back to what you were saying. People in your life should add value. It shouldn't be
Hmm.
this job where, I mean, of course there is work needed to sustain relationships, but it
Yeah,
shouldn't be this job where you are working tirelessly to make sure that this person stays in a place where you can actually be connected, because that is codependency.
yeah,
That's what codependency is. You are trying to, it's enabling as well. You're trying to put this person and sit them down and go, please be, normal, or please be the person that I need right now. And I think I did that with that guy. I was constantly going, I need you to be this way right now because I want to be friends with you. And
yeah,
that's not, it didn't work. You can't control, you can only control your side of the street. And,
yeah.
you can't constantly try and control someone else. And honestly, I think like for me, it's really difficult at my age with men to not go, be this way, please. Like show your emotions, please. And sometimes you can't. Like
Yeah,
there's no way.
yeah.
They have to figure that out for themselves, and they have to do their own research, and they have to do their own life journey. And you can give them advice,
Mhm.
but it's their choice to take that advice. And he wasn't taking it, and he did something inappropriate. And I said, "I'm done. I don't want this relationship anymore."
Good on you. Like, thank you for sharing that. And it's important that you did something like that because you protected your own sphere of influence, your own mental health, your ability to grow. And like you said, if your friends don't add value, or if the people you're around take away from your happiness, take away from the value or the joy or the beauty of your life, they're not really your friend. Their friendships are a two-way street, not a super highway and a dirt road. Like it takes two whole people to be friends. Like you can't just be a friend with yourself and half a person. That person doesn't really want to be your friend in the end. And it's really good to see that you were able to put a solid line down in the sand, or not in the sand, but in stone. Basically, you said this is what I will tolerate and not tolerate. And when it was broken, you didn't tolerate it. You stuck with your guns. You said, no, this is too far. This is not what I this is not how friends should act. This behavior is not okay. And that person kept it being a them problem, and Sharad stopped making it being a him problem. Um,
Yeah, and I think who you surround yourself with is so important. I think my environment when I was had that person in my life, I was a different person.
Yeah.
And I knew that I felt uncomfortable being that person. I knew that I felt uncomfortable being that way. And, it takes a lot of control to be like, I'm going to cut this person out of my life because I don't like how I'm acting. That's something a lot of people don't like. It is normal when you surround yourself with certain individuals or certain people to be like, I don't feel like myself. And taking the action to go to make sure that you feel comfortable in your own body and in your own mind is important. And so cutting him out was a really good thing for me.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm now going on the flip side of that.
Yeah.
Have you had have you had an experience of holding a friend accountable where it has strengthened your bond with that individual and strengthened your relationship?
Yeah, I have a friend. He's my roommate actually. His name is Corbin. I don't think he'll care that I'm saying his name, but his name is Corbin, and he lives with me. And early on in our friendship, we were like friends for like a year. We were working together. I was a manager at Little Caesars for like a couple of years, and we were both managers. And at night, we were messing around. We were closing up, and he took some. This is a weird story to give you an example, but he was taking cornmeal and throwing it on me. Like he had a shaker and he
Okay.
was throwing it on
Yeah.
me, and he was just fucking with me. And he take the shaker, and I'd be like, and, we were just fucking around, and we were throwing cornmeal on each other, and we were like doing our closing stuff and just fucking with each other. And then it got to the point where I was like annoyed with it. I was like, all right, I'm done. Like I'm done. Like this has gone on too long. I'm getting fucking cornmeal all over myself. This is not funny anymore. And he just kept doing it, like kept going.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking stop. Like let's like I need to close. I want to go fucking home. And he kept doing it, and like everyone was fucking laughing. And I ended up just taking the shaker and throwing it as hard as I could at the floor. So definitely couldn't control myself there. But after that, I was like, I feel so bad that I did that. But like, that really fucked with me. That was like, that like I was done. I was done, and you kept
Yeah.
going. And he apologized, and he never did it again. Nothing like that has ever happened again. We've been friends for 5 years. And as soon as I said it one time, it never happened again. And that's a stuff like that, as in just like invading the time when I say I'm done.
Hmm.
Like
No, anything but
yeah,
yes means no
yeah,
is what we
yeah.
teach our kids. Is
And
anything but yes means no.
it's a weird story, but every time that like I think of that question, because I'll think of like stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, Corbin's a good friend. Like he stopped, and
Mhm.
yeah.
It takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot to say no to your friends. It also takes a lot for your friends to then come back and apologize. But you put a foot down. You put a line in stone rather than in sand, and you stuck with it. And you said, "Yep, I'm done." And you kept with it, and you didn't change your mind. And I think it's courageous to do that thing.
I think the Wi-Fi is cutting out a little bit.
I should be back here.
Okay, there we go.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost. Sorry, my Wi-Fi was cutting out. We're under storm watch and weather
Oh,
right
it's all
now.
good.
Tornado. We had a tornado watch all morning. Um,
Gotcha.
we didn't get hit by anything, but we had some thunderstorms and stuff. So sorry for things cutting out there. Um, but I think it's another example of just you being willing to put your foot down and draw a line in the stone. And I keep saying stone and not sand because sand is mutable and you can just keep pushing it back, keep wiping it away. But you put a line down in stone and said, nope, I'm not going to cross this. And when it was crossed, you stuck with it. And your friend felt that. Your friend seemed to feel that in the end and went, I'm going to learn from this too, and did. And that's amazing. because you're still friends with them. You're
And,
roommates now.
and
Like,
there are times where, I've done that. Like, we'll be driving in his car and like, and these are very small things. There's
mhm.
bigger things, but like, we'll be driving the car and I cross my legs when I sit. So like, I have like one leg crossed over the other. And so my shoe gets on the dashboard a little bit. And like, it has like a little dirt on the dashboard. And he's like, dude, fucking stop that shit. Like, that's pissing me off. Like, I want my car clean. And I didn't even realize it was happening. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh fuck, like, I'll stop that. So now when I like sit in the car, I have my leg back, and it's just habit now. Like,
Hmm.
just respecting other people's small things that they need to add to their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of work to just follow and respect people's boundaries that they set for themselves, even if it's a small thing.
Yeah, and those small boundaries tend to be the most important ones
Yeah.
because if you can't respect somebody's small boundaries, you definitely can't. You're not going to respect their big ones. And so, I'm glad that you model this in your actions and how you approach your friendships and how you have self-evaluated and grown. And that leads into our next question, which is, what do you do to self-reflect and self-evaluate? And if you have any specific tools, what's your favorite tool?
Um, I think it definitely plays into the last question a lot. I self-evaluate by making sure I'm not compromising myself. And what I mean by that is I never want to put on like I said, a certain mask or so many jackets to hide my heart, right? Like I want to put my heart on my sleeve. And so I hold myself accountable, and I admit when I'm wrong. That's something my dad actually, he constantly told me. He's like, a good man admits when he's wrong. He never really followed that advice, but he'd tell me that, and it stuck with me. And so I admit when something makes me uncomfortable. That's a tool that I use. I tell people how I feel about every little thing, and sometimes I go overboard and share way too much about how I feel, and I feel like it freaks people out sometimes. So like I'll say like, what you did here makes me feel this way, and a lot of people, aren't used to that. I don't think, and I think it's really made my friendships that are male friendships stronger.
Hmm.
Um, but I've always been closer friends with women, because it's a lot easier to say this made me feel this way and be understood. And I think it's because the culture has been shaped completely differently, and now we're trying to change it. And I think it's so important. But with men, because of the stereotypes and because of how masculinity has been framed for so many years, it's a lot harder. But I've
Yeah.
become friends with guys who I really feel comfortable crying around. Like now I feel comfortable with my friends that are guys. Like I could cry around them. Like and we don't feel like we have to get drunk or talk about sex all the time to enjoy each other's presence. And it's funny because it truly is a problem at my age. Like that's all guys want to do. Like, and I don't want to do that. Like I want to hold each other accountable. I want to tell someone how I feel. Like something that's an issue with me is like, you know, like I said, I'm house sitting with one of my friends, and his name's Julian. Great guy. We've been doing like food review content lately,
Oh,
and
nice.
we're going. I started going to the gym with him. He's teaching me how to go to the gym and use this equipment. I've never gone before. I've never been like a really active sportsy person, but I'm going, and he's teaching me, and kind of like letting him teach me that, and not getting this huge ego where I'm just jumping into everything, and just like it's important because I feel like I'm letting this person give me education, advice. He's done weightlifting like a lot of his life. He's been in the gym for so long, and he's teaching me something. And I think being able to kind of open yourself up to being taught
Hmm.
something by another man, because it feels like it's always like this competition where who can be the smartest, is so important as well. And like even driving in the car, right? Like I'll get up and I'm like super insecure about my hair or something, and I'm like, I just feel like my hair looks like shit. And we're like, dude, you look fine. Like that.
Hmm.
Those things are so important because it strengthens friendships. It makes you just put your heart out, put your emotions out, tell them reassure someone, and be open to being taught, I think, are my tools.
I would. I'm going to have a follow up question on the ego piece because Shane also brought up the idea of ego. However, before we get into that, something that my wife does for me, and I would encourage men to do for their friends, for each other, for themselves, is go buy yourself a bouquet of flowers or go buy your friend a bouquet of flowers. I think the statistic is like 80, it's like 90% of men will never receive flowers in their life from anyone. And it's
You know,
such a simple act of like, I have a favorite flower. I love tulips.
I like tiger
And
lilies.
well, I like daffodils the most because we used to go to the daffodil blooming in Washington state up in northwest Washington.
Yeah.
Um, and I love them. Like tulips and daffodils are beautiful. My uncle used to like grow daffodils and orchids and stuff and crossbreed his own plants. And I just think it's fun to have joy out of things that are pretty and like the things that we like. And it's okay to be surprised with some of our emotions. He's coming. I think he's grabbing something. And it's okay to be comfortable with our emotions when we get flowers. Like it's for me, like the first time I got flowers, it felt awkward. I was like, "Ooh, why am I getting these?" Like, ooh, like first time my wife ever gave them to me was always like, "Ooh, why am I getting these?" Now it's like, "Oh, I love these." Like I
Yeah.
get them and it makes me happy. And
I,
it adds to my happiness when I get flowers.
I never like ask for a bouquet of flowers. My girlfriend Quinn, we've been together for a while now, and she'll just buy me them randomly. And like I have a favorite flower. I was born in Pennsylvania. I moved around a lot. Pennsylvania. I lived on this. They were plant scientists. I think we lived in a house that these people owned, and they had a huge garden, and they were filled with tiger lilies. So my girlfriend will draw me tiger lilies.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I also like moths, and so she'll draw me little
Oh,
things like
that
that.
is amazing.
But she'll just like go in and draw me flowers and get me flowers, and that's so it's funny you brought that up because that is a thing that my partner does for me, and draws me great stuff. So
And I'm a one, she's talented as hell. Like that's
yeah,
amazing. You
yeah,
should make sure to praise her on all of that because it's beautiful. Her artwork is amazing. And it's so nice to see that you have the ability to have a partner who respects your emotional needs as well and fills your emotional cup and sees when your happiness is added to and when things bring you joy and add to your joy and help spread your joy. And I think that's wonderful. You should treasure yourself for that, but you should also treasure the happiness that you get from the
yeah.
added happiness that you get from her because of this. I think that's amazing. Like,
And she went to Vienna, Austria to study abroad, and she brought back a bunch of little things for me, and she brought back this little box.
oh, that's
And
cool.
before I went to New Mexico, so if people don't know, I'm currently in New Mexico. Moved around a lot. My sister lives in New Mexico, so I'm coming down here to work with Indivisible and work alongside Indivisible and work with my co-director who lives here for Senate America. But before I left, she packed it with notes for each single day that I'm here.
That's amazing.
so
That's amazing.
so that's the type of stuff she does. She's very like love letter drawing stuff, and I love that. That's how I like to be loved, and I think she adds to my life that way. So
I like I love that you are getting to experience this happiness so early in life, and this type of joy and be able to find this comfort for yourself and grow in this way. And one of the things you talked about was you mentioned a little bit was ego.
yeah,
And you didn't touch too deeply on it, but I wanted to get your thoughts on the ego side. Is has that been something because you're still young, so you seem to have been able to get over it a lot sooner in life than so many others. Is how do you see ego being either a tool for or against you when you are trying to be intelligently masculine?
I think ego has hindered me a lot, because I think it's just relatable that a lot of us want to be the smartest in the room or have something that's useful for everybody. And you know, I think it's hindered me a lot because I I always want to be the person that has all the things figured out, that has all the solutions. And I think being able to balance and know that like I'm not gonna have all the solutions. I don't know everything. And yeah, my mom used to tell me that. She used to be like, "You don't know everything." Like I don't know everything. And I think that um, I've worked on learning as much as I possibly can, and so being able to kind of like be humble but balance believing in yourself, believing that you can know everything eventually. You want to learn as much as you possibly can, but you need to take insight from other people and collaborate ideas and find what other people are thinking, because if you're just again isolating yourself with your own ego inside a box, you're doing the exact damage that you want to get out of. You're like I said in the beginning, and it comes full circle. Your ego can put you right back in that box where you are just isolating yourself and you're not letting yourself free and finding other viewpoints and educating yourself with other people and their way of life, because your way of life is not the single focal point. There are other people's experiences and how they've lived their life that you need to let in a little bit. And I think like I had to learn that the hard way. Like I had to because my dad was always so egotistical. He was like, it's this way. And he had opinions on everything, on music, on literature, on all this stuff. And if someone said something that was completely different from him, it was like that person's an idiot, and I don't want to be around them, and I'm going to make fun of them. And I don't do that. And I learned from my mom not to do that. And so yeah, I think ego has really shaped, like balancing ego has really
Yeah.
shaped me.
So, when has been a point when needing your ego or needing an ego of sorts has benefited for you? And how did you make it so that your ego didn't become, if you have something on this, how is it you didn't let your ego become the sole driving factor in a solution or in the resulting like end result of um, the decision you had made?
Yeah, there's a couple different instances. Playing music, right? Like, I'm a good musician. I'm proud of myself for the fact that I can play music, that I understand music, that I'm a good lyricist. I think I'm a good lyricist. But I did choir, and I did choir performances and would get judged. And I became top four tenor for high school in the state of Missouri 2 years
I
in
was
a
going to
row.
guess you were a tenor.
Yeah, 2 years in a
I was a
row.
baritone, so
Yeah. And like doing that, I was the only one that got into to
mhm,
state. And that does give you this kind of like in high school, it gave me like a lot of pride. And but being able to go, I'm doing this for the music. I'm not doing
mhm.
this to hurt other people. I'm not doing this to be the best at this thing. Because you can try and be the best at something, but you also have to make sure that you're doing it for the passion, not for making sure other people see that you're the best at this thing. It has to be that you are driven to do this because you love it. And I loved it. And you know things like I played at Blueberry Hill. It's where Chuck Berry played in St. Louis.
That's
It
cool.
was it was so fun to play there, and I was so like thrilled that I got the opportunity, and being grateful, showing
Mhm,
gratitude, mixing that with ego helps you, because you're not only proud of yourself, but you're also grateful that you have that opportunity, and being like, I'm so glad that I'm able to be here right now, that I'm able to be here in this moment, that I'm able to have this opportunity because other people don't get to have this opportunity. And so I want to enjoy it for all the people that don't get to enjoy it. And that is something like you are doing this for everybody else. And the people hearing your music are the receiving end. That's your priority. And you can be proud of yourself, but ultimately it's about what you're doing in that moment. And so there's instances like that where I've balanced ego.
How has that grown into what you've been able to start doing for Centered America? Because
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
haven't
yeah.
talked a lot about Centered America, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay because this is your story. But Centered America is a big piece of your current story right now.
Oh yeah.
Um, and how, before we get into our more whimsical questions, and yes, for those who are late to the chat, Sharad Swaney is 19 years old and has more emotional maturity than most men in their 60s or 80s. Like this boy, this young man, not a boy, young man has emotionally grown from a boy to a man in a very rapid time and has done so in a very healthy way. And one of the things that you've done out of this is you've created a 501c4 organization that is nationally registered, and you co-founded this group called Centered America. Can you tell me about? We can take as much time on this part as you want, or as little. Is Can you tell me about how, looking at it from a lens now of an intelligent man, someone who is intentional and intelligent as a man, how do you see the lessons that you've learned applied to what you're doing now for Centered America?
It's one of my it's one of my greatest accomplishments, honestly, because like I remember January 6th was a full year of Centered America. We started January 6th, 2025. We just hit January 6th, 2026, so it's been a full year, which is incredible.
Congratulations, by the way.
Incredible. But I remember talking to Gavin, my co-director, if people are unaware in the chat. I was talking to Gavin, and we would always, hop on a video game, for example. Like I don't really play video games, but we wanted a way to talk because we were so far apart. It was easy to talk for long periods of time if we're just on a game and messing around.
Mhm.
And we would just talk about politics constantly. It's constantly like, what can we do? What solutions can we make? And I was like, Gavin, like, you're a business major. Why don't you just do politics? Like do political science, run for office. Like you're so well spoken. You're so smart. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, why don't we make an organization? Like, why don't we do something like that? And we put our heads together, and I researched. I looked up how to do it. I looked up, how to start a nonprofit. What are the legal requirements? How do you get articles of incorporation? How do you file, articles for the Secretary of State? And then how to get 501c4 tax status and like all this stuff. And being, I think what's helped me get to this part of my life where Centered America has grown. It's been a year. Learning how to actually do a 501c4 that's nationally recognized. It was letting myself learn everything, believing that I have the ability to do it myself and Gavin, that we can accomplish this shit. And it's like, that is an ego thing, but it's also a believing in yourself because you want to help this country. And so it was for the greater good. And I ended up, putting my head together with Gavin and just grinding it out. And we did it. We figured it out. And we're still learning, right? Like
Yeah.
we're still learning all the accounting. We're still learning, like we haven't done tax season yet. We're gonna do that this year. That's fucking crazy. And like that's gonna be a big thing. And but we had to research so much, and
Yeah.
we knew we could do it because we think that we're smart enough to do it. And I think everyone is. I think that, like, anyone in this chat right now, I think that you have the ability to sit down and do whatever the fuck you want to do with your life. Like, anything's accomplishable, right?
Mhm.
So yeah.
I think that's amazing. One, I'm really glad I've gotten to know you guys. I don't remember how I first met you couple
I don't
months ago
either.
now.
I remember. I went into one of your lives because you were either on with Ellie or Shane or something, and I went in one of your lives, and you were like, "Oh, we should do a show."
Oh
And
yeah.
you commented back, and you're like, "Let's do a show." And I was like, "Yeah." And then we text each other.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, it's been a while. Like I've met so many incredible people because of Substack and the work that
Yeah.
we're all doing here and putting ourselves out there. And I think it's incredible what you and Gavin have started. Like the work that you guys are doing and the efforts you're putting in right now, especially with Indivisible and getting all of those um, pieces together so you can start doing more actionable things that truly impact the country and possible legislative ideas and how to put those in and how people can be really engaged in our democracy. And I love the fact that you put in there too while you were talking about it that it is a little bit of ego in there, knowing that you could do it. You believed in yourself. Having an ego doesn't inherently have to be bad.
Mm-mm.
Normally, yeah, an ego is bad because it's very self-centered. It's very I'm better or I feel better, but it also means believing in yourself. And that might not be ego because it's not the aggressive side of it, but it is a self ego is just self belief
Yeah.
and manifested outwards. And knowing that you don't know everything, but be willing to learn is egotistical in its own way.
Yeah.
If you get joy out of that learning or if you get joy out of the end result, and it's okay to feel those things. And part of it is accepting that you do get joy when you see the work that you're doing be accomplished and be well received. And I know I feel joy when I write an article or have one of these interviews and we get we get hundreds of people in our shows. I don't think I've had less than 250 or 300 people in a show since starting this year again and
Yeah.
going back in just this week. And that means people are listening. People care. People want to be here with us. And for me, that fills me with joy. And I know I can keep doing this. And I know that the efforts that I'm putting in are the right ones. And I can believe in myself more. And I hope everyone in the audience also takes the chance to hit the subscribe button if you're on Substack in the top left hand corner to follow and subscribe to Sharad himself, myself, and Banner and Backbone, but specifically for Centered America in there. Follow their work if you're not already a subscriber because they're doing really important stuff. And the legislative impact and the local impact that they're going to have over the long run is going to be transformational because it's a community driven effort and they're listening and Sharad listens and learns. And if you haven't picked that up at this point in over an hour of Sharad talking about all of the amazing growth he's had, this organization is going to be a long term amazing success because it has leaders like Sharad at the head of it who are putting the work in and not doing it just for themselves, but also understanding they do get joy out of it and that they
Mm.
want to do it. And it's passion. And it's even if it's hard, they come back to it. So I want to salute you and give you a lot of props for all the things that you've been doing. And I'm looking forward to the work ahead as we work together and side by side and we collaborate and pass ideas and build this community more. And for those of us in the audience, this wraps up the first part of the interview, which is the first four questions, which are slightly more serious on intelligent masculinity and being a man. This final set of three questions is all wrapped into one. It's somewhat more whimsical, and it is based around the song "Be a Man" from the Disney Mulan song. And I'm pretty sure everyone knows that song. It is the "Let's Go Girls" for men. It is the clarion call and call to action for men to get off your ass and go do something. And it's one of those that hypes you up and pumps you up and makes you feel good. And I've gotten some interesting lessons out of it. And I would just want to hear Sharad's thoughts on these slightly more fun questions based around being a man and using this intelligence and this intentional masculinity to grow as he has shown he can and has done. Is so my call to action questions for you from Be a Man is, what does it mean to be as swift as a coursing river?
To be as swift as a coursing river. I think it's to hold yourself accountable as fast as possible, and learn from your mistakes as fast as possible. But of course, we're all human. We mess up. We fuck up. But learning from that, admitting it, putting the receiving end of a mistake, if that be a person or yourself, putting that as the top priority, and not making quick excuses, but making quick and thought out solutions. The quickness being, the swift part, and then the coursing river being the strength of your solutions and your learning or resolve of mistakes. And not everything's going to be learned so quickly, so you also have to give yourself time, and allowing yourself to heal. But yeah, I think for me that would be
I like
what
that.
as swift as a coursing river is.
Yeah, I like that. And I won't give my responses to these ones yet. I'm going to do that. Shane's actually going to interview me for the last of these.
Oh
And
wow,
we're going to reverse roles for the final episode.
I'll have to watch
So
that.
sometime that'll be probably the first week of March when I wrap up all the interviews. I'm still scheduling, and we've got interviews set up pretty much all the way through February at this point. Just need a couple more. And so this is going to be a lot of fun, hearing all these different answers.
Yeah,
But I do really like the fact that you talked about accountability again. And that's been a common theme for you, is holding yourself accountable and growing and focusing on that growth mindset. And to me, that's part of the warrior scholar mentality, is learning and growing and not only defending, but being on offense for your ideals and taking, like you said, quick and thoughtful solutions rather than quick excuses. And I think that's a really valuable way to think about it, is don't make quick excuses, make quick and thoughtful solutions, or quick and thoughtful changes, or something along those lines for yourself to grow. And it shows a lot of growth mentality and like forward thinking and mindfulness about yourself, and your impact on those around you. So love it. Love that answer.
thank
Our
you.
next question is, how do you embody the force of a great typhoon?
I constantly question myself. I really want to know myself. I question everything. I question if my opinions have changed, if I feel differently about something. Like trying a new, trying a food you dislike. Like I'm the type of person that if there's a food that I don't like, I'm gonna try it again every couple months, because I really care about understanding that things can change, that I can change, that things don't just stay in one place. And that's a common theme for this as well. Like I don't want to just stay in one place. I want to experience everything. And I question my thoughts a lot. I think a lot, and I constantly want to know more about myself, and go in depth. And we have our conscious brain, and then we have our subconscious brain. And the subconscious brain is all the things we do out of habit. It's the addictions, or the things we get jealous about, or the things we get angry about, or the obsessions. And I like bringing all of those to the front and working them out, managing them healthily, and not self-sabotaging with no thought behind it. And so I think I embody the force of a great typhoon, because I'm able to manage it effectively, and keep myself comfortable.
So effective emotional management
Yeah.
and tolerance and distress tolerance tools and mindfulness for yourself. I think that's a great way to envision a typhoon, because it can come in, it can be disastrous during it, but it's how you respond at the end and how you react moving forward that really determines the impact of, say, that typhoon. Um, and I think that, again, you are so focused on this amazing growth mentality and self evaluation and learning that it's all wrapped into you. Like you said, you don't want to stay put. You want to learn. You're a you're a learner at heart, and you're going to be a teacher, by by accident, whether you like it or not,
I
because
know.
you're going to teach throughout this whole process. You've taught people stuff during this show. You've taught me different things and different ways to look at stuff. You've taught yourself how to be a man. You've helped teach some of your friends, even in little ways, what it means to be a masculine and intelligent man. And I think that comes through your forward thinking and your ability to have effective emotional management, and growth. Um, and then finally, we've got our last question of the day. And this one is a little bit trickier because this one isn't so straightforward, of the three. But how are you as mysterious as the dark side of the moon?
I think by being, I think the word is like multifaceted. I feel like I'm proud of this, but I do a lot of shit. I have a lot of hobbies. You know, as a kid, I did ballet, gymnastics. I play multiple instruments. I've played shows at, uh, I've done, I've performed at great venues. You know, I was in choir. I run Center America. I like photography. I like keeping myself healthy. I help my family out. I'm studying political science in college. I'm in an amazing relationship. I want to run for office, stuff like that. And I feel like there's so much about me that everyone in my circle knows that I do. Like Nick, you know that I do that stuff, but to someone new, like I feel like it can be pretty mysterious in a way. And I'm really proud of myself about all of it. But I also know that there's always so much I want to do, and I want to get so much done, and I want to learn so much, and I want to experience every single type of hobby. And then I fuck myself over because it's not so easy balancing all of it. Like it's not an easy thing to do. And so,
No,
sometimes I have to, say my bad. I missed the ball on that one, and that's hard because I want to balance so many things, and I'm proud of that, and I think it's mysterious in a way, but sometimes I drop the ball, and being accountable and letting yourself fuck up makes me mysterious. I think.
I think that's okay. And I think there's no right answer to this question. And I'm still thinking on my answer on what I truly think it means to be mysterious as the dark side of the moon, too. And I asked this one because this one is more intangible, than the
Yeah.
others. Like, it's easier to think of what a swift and coursing river might feel like, or what that might look like in your life, or what does the force of a great typhoon mean, and how do you respond to one? But being mysterious is harder because
It's really hard.
what does it mean to be mysterious without being
Weird.
inauthentic?
Yeah.
Like, without being inauthentic or creepy or weird. How
Yeah.
do you maintain how do you maintain a private life
I
and
think
keep
surprising
yourself
people.
separate?
Surprising
Yeah.
people, with giving people your strengths, teaching, like we were talking about, educating other people, allowing yourself to be educated, and surprising each other. I think it's a mysterious thing because you don't know what's going to pop out of you. You don't know what you're going to learn, and I think that's a mysterious thing. I think not knowing what comes next, what great thing and what great opportunity is going to come next. That's pretty mysterious.
I love it. And I think that's a great way to put ourselves at an end of the discussion for this, because we've gone through all our questions, and two, I really appreciate all of it. Like, that was what you just said there at the end was I think a great way to close it out is surprising. The idea of mysteriousness might be surprising yourself and others by maintaining your authenticity, and that leads to things unknown. Whether good or bad, some are bad, but being yourself tends to lead to authenticity because you are authentically yourself and you get to find out what comes next. So, Sharad, before we go, as I smash things down on my computer, before we go, I don't have your individual account to promote, but I want to give you an opportunity to shamelessly plug yourself and Centered America, and the work you guys are doing there, because I think it's vitally important. I
Yeah.
think what you guys are doing is really important. I am also friends with you, and I want to support your work and help you build up more what you're doing, because I want to see you run for office in the future.
Be so
I want to
so good.
see us put in pieces of legislation this year that change the course of America and change it for the better.
We're gonna
And I
do it.
think Centered America is one of the ones that is going to, one of the places that's going to make that difference. So, Sharad, sell yourself, sell Centered America, shamelessly plug, because I support you guys wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Well, my name is Sharad Swaney. I'm the director of Senate America. I run 501. I run the 501c4 Senate America. We're defending democracy. We're resisting authoritarianism. We're giving back to people in need. We're giving resources and news updates, and we're also working on legislation. We're working alongside Indivisible. We're working here on Substack. We've been a little bit lacking on Substack, but we're still working hard and getting updates out. But man, it's been a crazy week. And I think all of us have felt that. And I think, with winter and then going into this new year, it's been hectic, but we're back and we're so excited to keep going on shows. You can follow us everywhere. We have centeredamerica.org. That's our website. We have Substack. You can look us up on Instagram, on TikTok. Also, you can follow me, Sharad Swaney, the real Sharad on TikTok. I post my music. I do clips where I just play songs. And then I also have my Instagram is Sharad Swaney. If you want to contact Centered America, contact us at info@centeredamerica.org.
Awesome. Thanks, my friend. And we'll put in show notes as always with links for you guys to be able to subscribe, because like I said, love the work that Centered America is doing. I think they need the support, and it'll help all of us because they're giving back to the communities, and they're putting words to action, and they're doing it fully and with their hearts and with their whole minds. And this is going to be a group that helps a lot. So please come support Centered America. And then I'll put it up there just for a second because I've mentioned it a couple times. Come support Banner and Backbone. We're cross-platforming on it right now to help boost the audience and encourage as many people to be part of these discussions as possible, because I think it's really important for us to put this out there, because if no one's going to say it, there's just a void in time and space, and men are going to fall to the easiest example, which is the authoritarian model, where they don't have to question and challenge themselves. Or you can follow Sharad's model and my model and Shane's model and so many others of question yourself. Ask what comes next. Ask, how do you get better? How do you increase your own happiness and your own self-worth? And how do you get involved in saving America and pushing us forward and progressing towards a more perfect union? Come join us at Banner and Backbone. Come join us at Centered America. And then come join me here at Sick of This Shit Publications, where we're making it all happen. Like I said, there's tons of new interviews that are going to be coming out around intelligent masculinity. This is just the second of them, and I look forward to having more discussions with folks as we continue to go along. So everyone in the audience on all of our platforms, thank you for being here. If you're on Substack, one more time, hit that heart button and then hit the subscribe or follow in the top left-hand corner to subscribe to all of us and follow us after the shows and keep up with all of our work. Sharad, I really appreciate you coming on, my friend, and
Thank you for
talking
having
with
me.
me for this time. I look forward to doing more of this and getting to talk with you more every week on Wednesdays with our show on Banner and Backbone for the window of discussion, as well as any other work that we can do together throughout the year. Looking forward to collaborating and boosting and building this community strong so that we can have a better future together and a more centered future where dignity is at the center and not hate.
100%.
So thank you, everyone who's here with us on Substack, like I said, on YouTube, on Twitch. Amazing. It's been a wonderful discussion. Thank you, Sharad. I appreciate you. I'm Nick Perro, everyone. This is Sick of This Shit Publications presenting Intelligent Masculinity. And we'll be back next week on Tuesday for a discussion with Lawrence Winterman for our third discussion into the Intelligent Masculinity series. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.